What's up, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 42, and today's title is Temptations, folks. And so this issue is brought to you by Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Bagley, and then we have Thirbert as well. And so let's go ahead now and look at today's issue. We stopped last issue off with a cliffhanger, basically. We have Spider-Man swinging to the rival school. He's going to confront this Geldoff guy. He's a foreign student, and we just don't know much about him. All we know for certain is that he has the ability to blow things up, and so he's most likely a mutant. And we see that last issue also Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson got back together. They are a couple again, and she gave him this half suit, so it's not a full Spider-Man suit, and so Spider-Man looks a little different here. I mean, he's wearing his gray jeans, and he's not even wearing shoes, he's wearing socks. And then on top of that, this suit is very big on him, and so hopefully within the next issue we'll see Spider-Man in a nice tailored suit that fits him, that Mary Jane Watson will create for him. But for now, we're going to just have to deal with the fact that Spider-Man is in this unique costume, and he's swinging to this rival school, and he's like, man, I really would like to make out with my girlfriend right now instead of having to go all the way across town just to meet this guy who I don't know, who will probably kick my butt. And thanks to the police here, Spider-Man is going to follow the police to where the action is taking place. And we see that when Spider-Man arrives, there are cars on fire right here in the school parking lot. And we see that this guy in particular is responsible for the explosions. This is Geldoff. If you don't remember, he was at that party that Peter and Gwen went to last issue. And we see here, folks, that Spider-Man is finally going to confront Geldoff here. And we see a bunch of these high school students are like, is that really Spider-Man? And this guy says, I think it is. Dude, your costume sucks. And so we see here that Spider-Man says, yeah, it's Spider-Man, about to kick you in the ding-ding for being a doof. And if you think using the words ding-ding and doof in the same sentence is easy, he then webs up. We see Geldoff's hand on top of this car, and he said, dude, it is Spider-Man. Kick his butt, Geldoff. We see the principal comes, and he says, you're all going to be expelled. And so we see that the police finally show up on the scene, and Spider-Man is trying to reason with Geldoff, and Geldoff is like, take me with you. Spider-Man's like, what? Geldoff says, I cannot get arrested. They'll send me away. So we see that he has this broken English, and he pronounces some words like away as away. So he's probably somewhere not from the US. And so Spider-Man swings, but then Geldoff is going to tag along and grabs a hold of Spider-Man in midair. Geldoff then falls down. Spider-Man catches him with a web line here, and he's going to basically swing on top of this roof. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, when? Spider-Man's like, first of all, you almost got yourself killed. And regardless of how you feel about that, I care. Everyone would have blamed me, and I have quite enough people blaming me for things I didn't do. What is with you? Why were you blowing cars up and being an idiot? I mean, why were you doing that? And then Geldoff finally says, okay, see that scummy principal suspended half the football team because of what happened at the party. He said, what party? He said, I was at this rocking out party, and I was a little plastered, and I was blowing up the parked cars for fun, just for the giggles, and the principal, he got a list of names, he suspended half the team, and we're coming up on the season finals, and I got mad and told him he don't put them back, then I got to protest him, so I blew up his car to make him unsuspend them. but I got carried away and blew up another teacher's car because she called me a name. And Spider-Man's like, oh boy, way, oh my gosh. I wish I was facing Doc Ock at this moment instead of this guy. And so he's like, look, you can't be blowing stuff up. You have this unique powers. You can use them for good. And so why should I use them for good? And how did you get your powers? And what are your powers? And he said, I have spider powers. And they are the proportional strength of a spider. He said, I have this. And he has these electric blue lights come out of his fingertips here. And so he says, I just have to think focused. I focus, I think, I point, and boom. What else can you do? That's not enough? How did you get your powers? I don't know. I do not know. So you're a mutant. Geldoff hates being called a mutant. We're pretty sure at this point that Geldoff is a mutant, but he basically says mutants are devil's children. You say that about me one more time, and you will have the trouble. He said, okay. He said, what's the accent? He said, where are you from? So we finally find out that Geldoff is an orphan. He's been living with this American family in New York, and he's originally from Latveria. And so we see here that Geldoff, he basically thinks, well, I'm not a mutant, so these powers, they must be magic or something. And so Geldoff is pretty naive at his age. He's in high school, and he still thinks that he's not a mutant. And so while they're continuing to talk and get to know each other, and we see that Geldoff is like, why don't you just become famous, fully famous? You wear skin tight, big red, blue costume. You flip around and do stuff. Why can't you just be famous all the time? And he says, well, I'd like to be famous part of the time, but I try to help people, and then I want to live a normal life when I'm not. So as they're continuing to talk here, more talking taking place, all of a sudden, gun shots are taking place inside of this restaurant here, and we see that Spider-Man is going to tell Geldoff to stay on the roof. I'm going to handle this. So Spider-Man is going to stop this robbery here from taking place. And we see that there's a Batman mask, Captain America, even an Iron Man mask. It's surprising how they included a Batman mask in this comic. And there basically is a hold up here. This reminds me of Spider-Man Homecoming, that scene from Spider-Man Homecoming. And we see here that Spider-Man's like, really, dude? I'm like right here. And so he webs up the guy's gun, gives him one good punch. These guys are, okay, man, okay, we give. The gig is up. All of a sudden, from behind, a huge explosion takes place. And he's looking around. This woman's been severely damaged by the explosion, but she still has a pulse, thank goodness. And the explosion is responsible from this guy, Geldoff. Geldoff is responsible. Spider-Man gets back on the roof, tries to smack him one good time, and he connects. He said, you crazy? He said, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. You're blowing up cars in the middle of the street. You almost killed people. He said, can't you see I've been trying to help you? I feel bad for you because you're an orphan and all, but you can't go around and do whatever you want just because you can. And he said, come on, I'm taking you back to the police. I've had enough with you. And he said, you do that and I will explode you. And so he's like, yeah, never tried it. Wonder what would happen to a Spider-Man who explodes. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, we see some woman's voice say, if you wouldn't mind holding off on that for 2 minutes, we'd like to talk to you. We're the X-Men. And Kitty Pryde says, we're the cute ones. And Storm says, as seen on TV. So we have Jean Grey, Kitty Pryde, and Storm here. And they've come in their jet here, and they're now going to confront Spider-Man and Geldoff. And so what will happen up next, folks? We have the X-Men debuting in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics here. Pretty cool stuff here. And so what's going to happen next issue as we look at issue number 43, folks? We'll have to see what happens. And go ahead now, give this video a like, comment down below what you liked about this issue, subscribe if you have not, and I will see y'all in the next one.